King Solomon, the son of David, ascended to the throne of Israel during an era of remarkable peace and burgeoning prosperity. His reign marked a golden age for the unified kingdom, a time when the nation's influence and wealth grew to legendary proportions. Yet, upon his shoulders lay the immense weight of governing a nation and upholding the laws of his father. He felt the gravity of his position deeply, understanding that military might alone could not sustain his kingdom. One fateful night, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a vivid dream at the high place in Gibeon. In this divine encounter, God's voice echoed, offering him anything his heart desired. Solomon, showing immense humility, did not ask for long life, riches, or the defeat of his enemies. Instead, he prayed for a discerning heart to govern his people and to distinguish between right and wrong. He asked for wisdom, an understanding mind to judge the great nation of Israel. God was profoundly pleased with Solomon's selfless and wise request. Because he had not asked for personal gain, God promised him not only unparalleled wisdom, but also riches and honor beyond any king before or after him. This divine gift of wisdom was soon put to a dramatic and public test. Two women, both prostitutes, were brought before his court, their faces etched with anguish and accusation. They lived in the same house, and both had recently given birth to infant sons. One of the women tragically rolled over onto her child in the night, and the baby died. In the darkness, consumed by grief, she secretly swapped her dead child for the living child of the other woman. When the second woman awoke to nurse her child, she discovered the baby was not hers, but the dead infant. Each woman now stood before Solomon, vehemently claiming the single living baby as her own. The court was silent, the problem seemingly impossible to solve as there were no other witnesses. Solomon, with his divinely gifted insight, listened patiently to both sides of the frantic story. Then, with an air of absolute authority, he called for a sword. A gasp rippled through the crowd as the king delivered his shocking decree. He ordered the living child to be cut in two, with each woman receiving one half. The first woman, the liar, callously agreed, stating that if she could not have the baby, then neither could the other. But the true mother screamed out in terror and agony at the thought. Her heart yearned for her son to live, even if it meant she could never hold him again. She begged Solomon to stop, pleading with him to give the baby to the other woman and spare his life. In that moment, Solomon's wisdom revealed the truth with absolute clarity. He pointed to the weeping, selfless woman, his voice ringing with authority. He declared, "Give the living child to her. She's his mother." No. News of this judgment spread like wildfire throughout all of Israel. The people stood in awe of their king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to do justice. This event cemented his reputation as a ruler of unparalleled insight and fairness. With his kingdom secure and his people confident in his leadership, Solomon turned his attention to a monumental task. He was to fulfill the dream of his father, David, to build a permanent and magnificent house for the Lord. This would be the first temple, a central sanctuary for the worship of God in Jerusalem. The project was an undertaking of staggering scale, requiring immense resources and international cooperation. Solomon formed an alliance with Hiram I, the Phoenician king of Tyre, a great friend of his father. Hiram agreed to supply the finest cedars and cypresses from the legendary forests of Lebanon. These massive logs were floated down the Mediterranean Sea in great rafts to a port near Jerusalem. In return, Solomon provided Hiram's court with vast quantities of wheat and pure olive oil each year. Solomon conscripted tens of thousands of laborers from all over Israel to work on the project. The stones for the temple were quarried and dressed at the source, so no sound of a hammer, chisel, or any iron tool was heard at the temple site itself. The construction was a silent, holy process, a testament to the reverence of the task. The foundation of the temple was laid with massive, expertly cut stones that anchored it to the mountain. The main structure rose majestically, its walls built from the finest white limestone. Inside, the walls and floors were completely paneled with fragrant cedar wood, so that no stone was visible. The entire interior of the sanctuary was then overlaid with pure, shimmering gold. The floor, the walls, the ceiling, everything shone with the brilliance of refined gold. At the very back of the temple, he prepared the inner sanctuary, the most holy place. Here, the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred chest containing the tablets of the 10 Commandments, would be placed. Solomon commissioned 2 massive cherubim, each 15 feet tall, to be carved from olive wood and overlaid with gold. They stood side by side, their outstretched wings touching in the center of the room and reaching to the outer walls, forming a protective canopy over the ark. The entrance to the main hall was flanked by 2 enormous bronze pillars, named Yakin and Boaz. These pillars stood as symbolic sentinels, representing the strength and stability of God's promise. After 7 years of tireless and sacred construction, the house of the Lord was finally complete. Solomon assembled all the elders and leaders of Israel for the temple's dedication ceremony. The priests solemnly carried the Ark of the Covenant into the inner sanctuary, the most holy place. As they placed the Ark beneath the wings of the golden cherubim, a miracle occurred. A thick, radiant cloud, the glory of the Lord, filled the entire temple, so that the priests could not even stand to minister. Solomon then stood before the altar and spread his hands toward heaven, offering a powerful prayer of dedication. He prayed that God's eyes would be open to this house day and night. He asked God to hear the prayers of his people Israel, and also of the foreigners who would come to pray there. He consecrated the temple as a house of prayer for all nations, a beacon of God's presence on earth. The dedication concluded with a massive festival and sacrifices, a celebration that lasted for 14 days. The fame of Solomon's wisdom and the splendor of his kingdom reached the farthest corners of the known world. It even reached the ears of the mysterious and powerful Queen of Sheba from a rich kingdom in the south. Intrigued and skeptical, she decided to travel to Jerusalem to test Solomon with her own hard questions. She arrived with a magnificent caravan, a testament to her own kingdom's wealth. Her camels were laden with spices in quantities never before seen in Jerusalem, along with vast amounts of gold and precious stones. The Queen of Sheba met with Solomon and questioned him about everything she could think of. Nothing was too difficult for the king to explain. He answered all her questions with profound wisdom. The queen was utterly overwhelmed by what she saw and heard. She witnessed the wisdom of Solomon, the magnificence of the house he had built, and the prosperity of his kingdom. She saw the food on his table, the seating of his officials, and the fine apparel of his servants. She declared that the report she had heard in her own land did not do him justice. The reality was far greater. She praised Solomon's God, who had delighted in him and placed him on the throne of Israel. The 2 monarchs exchanged lavish gifts, cementing a friendship and trade alliance between their powerful kingdoms. The Queen of Sheba returned to her country, her mind filled with the wonders she had witnessed in Jerusalem. Solomon's reign continued in splendor. His wealth was legendary, with gold becoming as common as stones in Jerusalem. He built a great fleet of ships and engaged in international trade, bringing back gold, silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks. He composed over 3,000 proverbs and more than 1,000 songs, becoming a patron of wisdom literature. However, as Solomon grew older, his heart began to turn away from the Lord. He had taken many foreign wives, 700 wives of royal birth, and 300 concubines. These political marriages were intended to create alliances, but they brought a grave danger. He began to build high places, altars for Chemosh, the god of Moab, and for Molech, and the god of the Ammonites. He did this for all his foreign wives, who burned incense and sacrificed to their own gods within the Holy Land. The Lord became angry with Solomon because his heart had turned from the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice. God had specifically warned him not to follow other gods, but Solomon did not keep the Lord's command. So the Lord delivered a terrible judgment upon the aging king. He declared that he would tear the kingdom away from him and give it to one of his subordinates. However, for the sake of his father David, God would not do it during Solomon's lifetime. The division of the kingdom would fall upon his son, Rehoboam. God also promised that he would not tear away the entire kingdom, but would leave one tribe for his son to rule. This was for the sake of David and for the sake of Jerusalem, the city he had chosen. In Solomon's later years, the peace of his kingdom began to unravel as adversaries rose against him. One of these was Jeroboam, a capable official from the tribe of Ephraim, whom Solomon himself had promoted. The prophet Ahijah met Jeroboam on the road and enacted a prophetic sign. Ahijah tore his own new cloak into 12 pieces, representing the 12 tribes of Israel. He gave 10 of the pieces to Jeroboam, prophesying that God would give him rule over 10 tribes. When Solomon learned of this prophecy, he tried to kill Jeroboam, who then fled to Egypt for safety. Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, ended his life in a state of conflict and divine disfavor. He reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel for 40 years, a reign of unparalleled highs and tragic lows. When he died, he was buried in the city of David, the city his father had founded. His son, Rehoboam, succeeded him as king, inheriting a kingdom on the brink of collapse. Just as God had decreed, the 10 northern tribes rebelled and made Jeroboam their king. The golden age was over, and the unified kingdom of Israel was no more. Yet, the legacy of Solomon's wisdom, captured in the book of Proverbs, continued to echo through the ages. And the temple he built, though destined for destruction and rebuilding, remained the heart of Jewish identity and faith for centuries. His story serves as a timeless lesson on the power of wisdom and the corrupting influence of straying from one's core beliefs. The great King Solomon was a complex figure of immense wisdom and profound human failing. He built a house for God, but could not keep his own house in order. His name would be forever synonymous with a wisdom that touched the divine. He received the world's riches, but nearly lost his own soul. The first temple stood as his greatest achievement, a physical manifestation of his devotion. It was a marvel of the ancient world, a center for pilgrims from distant land. The scent of cedar and incense filled its sacred halls. Priests in white linen performed the daily rituals with solemn precision. The sound of psalms and prayers echoed within its golden walls. For a time, it was the undisputed center of the spiritual world. Solomon's wisdom was not just for grand judgments, but for daily governance. He organized the kingdom into 12 administrative districts to ensure efficient taxation and provision. His reign saw a flourishing of arts, literature, and architectural innovation. Jerusalem was transformed from a stronghold into a magnificent imperial capital. He built a new palace for himself, a project that took 13 years to complete. He also constructed the House of the Forest of Lebanon, an armory and hall made with hundreds of cedar pillars. His throne was a masterpiece of ivory and gold, a symbol of his unmatched power. No other king in any other kingdom had a throne so magnificent. All his drinking vessels were made of pure gold. Silver was considered of little value in his day. But this immense prosperity came at a cost. The heavy taxation and forced labor required for his projects bred resentment among the northern tribes. This resentment laid the groundwork for the future rebellion and division of the kingdom. Solomon's story is a powerful narrative of a man blessed with everything. He was a philosopher king, a poet, a builder, and a judge. His wisdom was a beacon, but his personal choices cast long, dark shadows. He understood the universe's complexities, but failed to control his own desires. The building of the first temple remains his most enduring physical legacy. It was a place where heaven and earth were believed to meet. a testament to a king's desire to create a space worthy of God. And so, the tale of King Solomon is forever etched in history, a brilliant and cautionary saga.